Hey, what's going on, Ant family? Welcome back to another daily analysis here with DTA, talking about AMP only. So, hopping right into today's daily analysis, looking at CoinGecko.com, we can see that the price that's reflected here, because we all know that the oracles used on CoinGecko.com is a little lagged, but right now on CoinGecko.com, it's showing that AMP is currently priced at 0.044 cents, up 3.3% from yesterday. And we were floating in between this zero point zero 0.04 to 0.044 range. So still, in the 4 cents range, we're doing pretty well. The empire is holding pretty strong. And currently we are still ranked in the top 50 of the crypto market cap. Today we're ranked number 45. So, just hopping right into how Etherscan is looking, just looking at some of our daily holders today. I think I'm going to start to, report on this every day because it's just really interesting to me being able to see the growth of AMP holders. So I think the last time I made a video, which was yesterday's daily analysis, we had 27,010 holders. Today being July 17th, we have 27,265 new holders. So, we have a little over 250 new holders today, and that's just in 24 hours, guys, right? The accumulation is massive for AMP right now, and I'm loving every second of it. All right. So that's what we have going on with Etherscan, but hopping right into our charts. Let's take a look and see what's going on. So hopping right in and looking at the weekly, we can see that we are still slightly below the Fibonacci 786 using the Fib retracement tool. And, this is slightly, this isn't where we want to be, guys. Let's just be honest. We don't want to be here at all. But the one thing that sort of gives me comfort about the weekly chart is that, we have had, big daily closes with a lot of sell pressure in the past, and that resulted in a big move up to the upside. We can see it here. We had these two strong bearish weeks followed by four strong bullish weeks. And we had that in the past as well, when Flexa migrated into AMP all the way back in September of 2020. And we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 straight weeks of bearish closes, right? And after that, we just took off. So, that is the one thing that does give me some comfort, purely from a technical perspective about, what's happening on a weekly for AMP. But, we still have one more day to go, and we'll see, how we close this week. Um, I would love for us to close above the Fib 786, but if that doesn't happen, then there's a strong possibility that we may try to sort of move in this direction here if my indicators will start working. Okay, great. So I got my paintbrush. It's very possible that if we close below the Fib 786, we may come down a little bit further, try to find a bottom, and then retest the Fib 786, which will put us at the 0.046 price range, right? I said this before. If we can manage to get above this, then we'll probably move a little bit sideways, sort of testing this fib level as support before we can truly move up, right? Now, if that doesn't happen and we get rejected, then the strong possibility will fall further to the downside, putting us, at the max, right around the 2 cents level, right? And that's all dependent upon what the king Bitcoin wants to do, right? So that's just some additional realistic perspectives of where we could be headed. But again, the intrinsic value of AMP and the fundamental values of AMP are not reflected on the price, right? We're still very early in the game. And Flexa has been doing some amazing things. Huge shout out to the whole team. Huge shout out to the community for, all of the organizing work that they've been doing. So, those are some things to just keep in mind, that Flexa is not like any other crypto project. It is a company, and it is a company that is positioned to solve a universal use case, right? Universal real world problems with real world utility, not just speculation, right? So those are just some things to always remember whenever you see a whole bunch of red on the price. And it takes time, right? Adoption takes time. So that's what we have going on for the weekly. Let's move on into the daily and see what we have going on here, right? So I've been seeing a few other charts um, of traders who are marking up AMP, and a lot of traders, they're still sort of going back to the bearish pennant that we spotted a few weeks ago. And, I just want to show you all how that bearish pennant looks, and, where we could possibly go from there. Right. So we have our resistance line there. This was pretty much extended. And we have our support if we're extending that also. Right. Um, we can see that, we sort of broke down further to the downside there, but if we measure this move, the opening of the pennant, right there, that's 35%. So, normally with bearish pennants, markets tend to break down the same percentage range of the opening of the pennant, right? So, you know, up here, yes, it was 35%. But if we, break down that same range, that same movement, and we measure that out, then that will put us breaking down 50% from the apex of this pennant, right? Which will put us right at the 3 cents range, right? 0.035. And that's pretty spot on to, what I called out as our lower level of support a few weeks ago, right? So, there's really nothing to, sort of fear, especially if we're measuring these moves out and we're getting confluence with different traders, right? So we don't know if that will happen. Sometimes bearish pennants, they don't, complete and break down all the way to the lower levels. Sometimes they break down 50% of, what this apex percentage move was. Sometimes they break down 68%. Sometimes they break down 80%, right? Nobody knows for sure, and we can't be 100% certain. We just have to wait and see, how these candles close, essentially. And that's why, I think it's important to not only understand things from a TA perspective, but to also understand the psychology of the candlesticks and what the candle structures are telling you, right? Like today, we are on the candlestick of July 17th, right? We have about 10 more minutes left for this daily candle to close. If it closes like this, then this is letting us know that, it will be a doji. And the psychology of dojis is that, buyers and sellers are agreeing at a certain price, which would be the mid range of the body. And, if buyers can push the price up a little bit, right? If this candle can close bullish like it is right now, then that's saying that sellers don't necessarily have the force, or they didn't have the force today to push the price down any further. And it's likely that the next day or the next candlestick, buyers will take control of the market, right? So, we only have about 10 more minutes left for today's daily candle to close before we see what the next candle starts with. And then we have to wait, a whole 24 hours to see how that candle closes to give us that confirmation of, okay, was this bullish doji, a confirmation that we're going to reverse to the upside? Or was it a confirmation that, we're headed to retest, the fib 786 at the 0.046 level to see if we can get above it, right? This is just all things that we have to be patient with and pay attention to, while also being, realistic about what's going on in the markets. But, again, guys, data is everything. And, we have data here that is letting us know that whenever we did fall below the bull market support band, that, we tend to bounce above it, right? Um, and that's just, in my opinion, something to pay attention to, because history tends to repeat itself a lot on the charts, right? And even if we, just sort of measure this out, right, from the start of when Flexa migrated to AMP, right, which was what do we have here? September 11th, right, to where we are right now, right? If you measure that up to where we are right now, we are up 352%. And it hasn't even been a year yet, right? We have until September 11th in order for it to make 1 year since, Flexa migrated to AMP, right? So I don't see any reason for anybody to be fearful of these numbers. Like, being up 352% in a year is, great compared to traditional finance, right? I don't know any stock that has those numbers right now, or any commodity, sort of say, that's maintaining its value, right? And that's another thing. Or that's, growing in the infancy, that has a $4 billion market cap, right? Just some things to think about. So that's what we have going on with the daily, right? Same scenario. We have to wait and see how this week closes, but depending on how this doji closes today's day, it's very possible that we may move up to retest the Fib 786, which will put us at the 0.046 level. To see if we can stay above this, right? If we can't stay above this, it's very likely that we could be moving to some lower levels, to our support at the 0.038 mark, right? And that's pretty consistent with the 4 hour and the 1 hour. The 4 hour, we can see that, we are still, trying to retest. We're trying to get above this, but, um, when the markets spike up like this, right, when it makes that V-shaped recovery, that is a continuation of the current trend, right? So if the current trend is headed down and we get these V's, that's letting us know that we will continue to sort of move in that direction, right? So just to help out some of the new traders out there, right? Uh, V's are continuations, right? Those are continuation patterns. What you want is an L. L's are signs of reversals, right? You want an L. You want to come down, you want to level out, and then you want to go up, right? Or I guess that's not really an L. You want something that looks like a U. um, yeah, so that's what we have going on with the 4 hour. And the 1 hour pretty much, looks the same. I think the 1 hour will definitely let us know if in fact we can get, above, this support, well, this resistance zone that's holding us down right now, right? And this is all at the 0.044 mark, right? So if we can get above that, I think that we have a good chance of moving in this direction for a little bit. I think it would be healthy to move sideways before moving back up to the higher 4 cent marks, right? That's ultimately what we want. And, I think it's also important to pay attention to what's going on with Bitcoin, because we all know that Bitcoin is the benchmark for the entire market, right? So, hopping right into Bitcoin on the daily, we can see that this structure of accumulation, it's still playing out, right? Um, we are right back down to our spring levels, right? If you apply the Wyckoff theory of accumulation, these spring levels have gotten touched more than once, right? Um, you can see it right here, right? This is our spring, right at the 31,100 level. And then again, right here, we had a low of $31,025. And then, these last couple of days, we've been floating around this 31,100, 31,200 range, right? So again, until we see a breakdown further with Bitcoin, or a move to the upside that suggests some sort of sign of strength, we can only use on-chain metrics and on-chain analysis to see how much accumulation is going on. But again, that doesn't show all of the accumulation that's been going on, guys, right? Buying Bitcoin off of an exchange is just one way to, get ownership of Bitcoin. You could also, make a peer-to-peer trade, right? You could find somebody that's selling Bitcoin, or, what large institutions use, right? OTC trades, known as over-the-counter trades, right? And these are for, institutions or entities or individuals who are looking to make large purchases of an asset without impacting the price of that asset on the market, right? If you look into, Coinbase, they have OTC services available to institutional investors, right? OTC Coinbase, just to show you all, right? I'm a teacher, so I like to, put new things out in the open for, folks to understand. So here we go, right here. Coinbase, OTC services. This is for institutions. This is how you provide liquidity offline, right? And we know that large institutions have been, making purchases of Bitcoin. So, if you're selling your Bitcoin, I don't think that's wise to do, especially since Bitcoin is ruled as an asset in the eyes of the SEC, and it's treated as property, right? You have to pay tax on the purchase or the sale of your Bitcoin, the same way you have to pay tax on the purchase or sale of property, right? So why would you get rid of an asset that's in its infancy, that is ruled as, property tax wise? And if it's ruled as property tax wise, then that means you get all of the benefits that properties have, right? I.e., you can borrow against it, you can use it as collateral, right? You can access debt of that asset tax free and still be able to utilize those funds while holding on to the asset still, right? Um, I just don't think it's wise to, get rid of an asset that's in its infancy. We talked about the internet adoption in one of our daily analysis posts, but the for those who don't know, the internet is only 51 years old, right? And we only have 65% of the world's population on the internet. So, in terms of thinking about adoption, it takes time. But the good thing is that Bitcoin is being adopted way quicker than the cycle of the internet. So, you know, again, we just have to see what happens with Bitcoin, because uh, it's the benchmark for the entire crypto market, right? And tomorrow is the 18th. This grayscale unlocking of GBTC shares, not Bitcoin. So, we'll see how this FUD plays out. We'll see how the market responds, and interestingly, I think we'll see some interesting things happen in the traditional financial markets next week, especially with the grayscale shares, which are not available on Robinhood. It's not available on Robinhood. If you're interested, then you have to go through an older institution to access the grayscale Bitcoin shares, such as Fidelity or Vanguard or Charles Schwab. And it's made like that for a reason, right? Just some things to keep in mind. They want you to play fair, but they want you to play on their court by their rules. So, um, yeah, guys, this is what we have going on for today's daily analysis. Just keep an eye on Bitcoin, and until the decoupling of AMP from the rest of the crypto market. Once that switch hits and their partners are able to accept alternative forms of payment through the Flexin network, purely digital, seamless for the merchant, way less fees, and allow them to convert into the fiat or cryptocurrency of their choice. It's safe, it's guaranteed, right? I'm waiting for that day, and I think it will happen soon. So that's what we have going on for today's daily analysis, guys. Remember to protect your assets, understand what your assets are, and understand how your assets can be used. All right. So until tomorrow, y'all. DTA is out.